Y'all, today we finally received a major update to the drama that's been completely taking over Wizard101 for over a week now. I took my sweet time to make this video because some of the allegations that we're going to talk about in this video are actually kind of serious. I wanted to make sure that we had a lot of time to see how everyone involved would respond to this, and today I think we got the major update that I feel comfortable making this video. Now, if you know nothing about this drama, about 10 days ago, the community manager for Pirate101 put out a thread on Twitter saying why he's no longer working at Pirate101. And while he wasn't fired specifically for not getting along with this co-worker, he basically said a major reason why I guess he couldn't do the work was because of a co-worker. And the co-worker in question is the community manager for Wizard101, Spark. The Pirate101 community manager that was let go, Hercules, went basically, you know, in this thread, he went through many reasons why he felt like Spark wasn't doing his job. Apparently, there was an incident where he invited someone to interview a co-worker, except the interviewer had a history of stalking that co-worker. He argued against playing the game for which he managed, so I guess he didn't want to play Wizard101. I don't know, maybe he argued against needing to play Wizard101 to be a community manager. And also, Hercules said that Spark didn't know how to use more basic tools that you know, you might need to do the job. In the thread, he also went through certain remarks that Spark made that made him uncomfortable. He apparently saw Hercules' dad at some kind of Renaissance fair and like confronted him about his son's workplace attitude. Completely unprofessional. If this really happened, this is like completely unprofessional, a complete breach of boundaries. So first, Wizard101 responded in the official Discord saying they're gonna do an investigation of this, but that didn't really tell us much. I feel like it was a very, like, you know, cookie cutter response. But today, one of the people that works at KingsIsle put out a blog post saying basically the future of what's happening, at least in the short term. So in the blog post, they basically said that for now, if there's any like community concerns, the person to go to now is this new community manager named Emma and the author of, I guess, this article, Vanessa. The big takeaways from the blog post is there's a new main point of contact, at least for the short term, for anyone who needs stuff in the community. I think for very obvious reasons, they can't specifically say what's gonna happen to the Pirate101 or this like, you know, original Wizard101 community manager role. I'm gonna assume new spots are gonna be filled. I'm gonna assume if certain jobs aren't being met in terms of like, you know, what they require, those jobs are gonna be replaced, those positions are going to be replaced. So at least for now, it looks like we have a way moving forward after, I would argue, this drama is basically torn apart the public perception of the community manager. And I think trust in the person that represents the community for KingsIsle and, you know, serves as like that communicator. I feel like trust in that position and person is very important. So I'm glad at least now we know what's happening, because it's felt like 10 days of limbo, if I'm being honest. Now, how do I feel about all of this? I do have some thoughts. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. My experience with Hercules has only been positive. I've actually gone to him for concerns related to Wizard101 while he was a Pirate101 community manager, and he was really down to help. It makes me sad that if he's truly passionate about, you know, working for Pirate101 and the game and all of that, it does make me annoyed that, you know, he couldn't do that to the fullest extent, because from what I could tell, the dude actually really cares, and that's, in my opinion, the most important thing. But I've seen a lot of vitriol. There's been a petition to fire Spark and all that. A lot of negative energy directed that way. Some of it, by the way, too far. I'll be honest. I think one thing that still doesn't really sit right with me is that a lot of the reason why people were saying that Spark is, you know, not a good community manager, it came from a clip of him. This is from a while ago, but he basically tried to like enchant a meteor strike, and instead of enchanting a meteor strike with the damage enchant like you would expect, he tried to enchant it with a sharpened blade, which is only used on blade. Now, this enchanted stuff is a mechanic that's been in the game since level 90, which is about 8 years ago. So you would think that someone who's been community manager for that long, they should understand how that stuff works. That being said, that's not enough to justify the amount of people that said that he simply couldn't do any part of his job off of that clip alone. I think when it comes to being a community manager, really, the best indicator of whether you're doing your job is if someone in the community needs your help, are you helping them do that? I think I would be much more concerned if someone like that was a developer on the game didn't understand how mechanics like that worked. And yet, this clip that's been out for years, it seemed like it added a lot of fuel to this fire. And while the original allegations from Hercules' thread, they're very serious, conflicts, if someone really did do all of these things repeatedly and after warning, especially if it was after they were like, you know, told to stop doing it, I totally get why people would want to see consequences for that. But I feel like we didn't have those extra details, right? And I think they're kind of important because you do have to wonder how much of this could have been prevented with some dialogue. I think there really does need to be a level of due process for some of these things, and that was not the mentality that people, I guess, were having. Especially, I saw in the Pirate 101 Discord, people were like, really, it was like very demonic. Like it was very toxic. It wasn't like a rational conversation. I think people were just angry, tensions were high, people were mad that Hercules got fired, and they completely took it out on Spark to an extent that I think was unreasonable. If someone's not doing their job, or, you know, maybe they made some mistakes, especially mistakes they can learn from, yeah, maybe they shouldn't do the job that they're currently holding. That doesn't mean they have to be publicly demeaned, and by the way, had many lies made up about them along the way. I feel like that part a little crazy. And the lies I'm referring to, I'm not talking about what Hercules put in his thread. Without going into too much detail, it went beyond unprofessionalism in the workplace. People were making serious rumors, things that are like literally illegal. And I think that makes the side that's appearing to have a moral high ground look a lot worse. I think we do need to be better about this. I think we should be angry about things that need to become better, but we also have to have some level of decorum when it comes to like that Discord. And I do think it reflects on like, you know, a whole attitude where the Spark is, you know, guilty before innocent. I think a lot of it's just not okay. I feel like more people should be hoping that, you know, whatever led to whatever this was, right? What is KingsHawk going to do to make sure this doesn't happen again? Normally, when there's like a workplace conflict, there's an HR department that you go to. They can mediate a conversation between both of the people that maybe have a disagreement. And employees should be screened and trained, you know, helped to do their job so that it never becomes a question of whether someone's competently doing what they're supposed to do. People have really distorted this issue like it's some kind of personal drama. The way I see it, if you're running a company, it should never get to the point where someone, you know, isn't able to do their job because they feel uncomfortable. Should never get to the point where someone that's worked for you for 6 years has a petition to get them fired, like, you know, after all that time. Something is clearly, you know, not worked here. I don't know if it's just an HR issue or if it's maybe, you know, the way they train or even screen their employees before hiring. I'd love to know what KingsHawk is going to do to prevent that. In my opinion, my humble opinion, hopefully people don't hate on me for, you know, distracting from that personal, you know, conflict between the two. I feel like that is what people should be focusing on, though. Like, what could they do to prevent this stuff from happening in the future? Based on the blog post, it seems like no one's gotten straight up fired, so we will probably need more transparency on at least what's going to change moving forward so this type of stuff doesn't happen again. In their original, like, you know, very cookie cutter ass response in the Discord, they did say they can't really talk about personal conflicts between employees for privacy reasons. And while I respect that, you don't even have to acknowledge that when you're talking about what you're going to do as a company to make sure stuff like this doesn't happen. I think that type of transparency is really important, because otherwise you're just going to assume that everybody in the future is also going to be working under those circumstances, or they're not able to do their job competently. I would rather public perception like that isn't like a popular way to look at a whole department in Wizard101. This is some ugly ass drama, y'all. I really do hope the best for everybody involved. Like, for real, like I hope this really is water under the bridge and the game could just be at its best ASAP. The past 10 days, I feel like it has not felt like that. So hopefully moving forward, that is the trajectory. Let me know what you guys think of this, like, you know, the original drama, Wizard101's initial response, the blog post. I did want to talk about this, especially if people feel like they don't have someone to reach out to with a concern if you're a part of the community. It looks like there is a new main point where we could do that. And maybe Wizard101 is just trying to, like, you know, address some things and for the road ahead, you know? I look forward to reading all of y'all's thoughts and comments on this. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Leave a sub if you're new. And as always, if somebody hasn't told you you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. Stay awesome. See y'all soon. And yeah.